Hey, Sravanti.
Hey, hi Satya.
Hey, was the last week material uploaded already?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, Louis.
Hello,
Hi
everyone.
Luis. Hello.
How's everyone's week?
Going pretty busy for me.
It's a busy week.
Hey,
I think
Luis.
how's it
Yeah.
going? Everyone's getting ready for Thanksgiving next weekend, right? So
Yep.
it's good. That's good.
Voy a hacer una rifa de eso. Estoy haciendo una rifa.
Okay. So I'll put in the chat if anyone has any questions. So at this point, everyone should at least start thinking about what they want to be doing for the final project. If they don't have a group, you maybe can join a group if you still are having deciding what you want to do. But again, the point of having a final project coming up is to really think about what's a use case, get your hands really dirty of what can be done. Yes, you might be stuck. You might looking at things like that because of course learning something isn't super fast and super easy. It takes a little bit of work, but it is possible and it's doable.
Hi, Luis.
Hello.
Okay. So, like in the last test, you mentioned or you used Wikipedia, right, for the to get the resources as a resource. So, can we use any other site like that, or
Yeah, like there's different ones you can use. Do you have one in particular that you're thinking about?
so I was thinking to use US News. Yeah, US News website.
Mhm.
And when I searched for something like that, I found some scraper for it, but I didn't know how to use that.
Yeah, like in terms of having something directly, because some of them have some of them you have to pay for, some of them you have to get deeper. So again, for your project, like I don't want you guys going, and if you want, you can pay for your own, right? But I can show you an example of a free one that gives you about 1,000 credits. This one is called Tavily. So this one isn't directly towards this isn't directly Wikipedia, but this does is pretty much like a Google search. You can tell your agent to only use the US news sources to pull information from. A lot of these different companies, Llama Index, Cohere, example, all use this Tavily search. And it's pretty simple. You simply just write from Tavily, import Tavily client. You sign up, log in, sign in, just like your Google API, put your API key here and ask questions, right? And then it pulls information directly from the web, and the other way around. I think there's even a playground that lets you here, like I think you have to sign in. Let me see if I can look a quick sign in. So, what's a question could be like, what are you, what's happening with UFO? What's happening with UFOs? Please only answer with US news source. So here we go. we asked the question, what's happening with UFOs? And we asked only to answer with only a US news source. It pulls up probably 3 or 4 different informations about certain articles. It's only using information that's from the US to pull things in as well, right? Newsweek, USA Today, Yahoo.com, and it took 2.27 seconds. So this is one I would really suggest if you have questions of how to do something like this. And you can always put it on your system query to only answer with US news source. And they get in this one, they give you free 1,000 credits, and that's pretty much 3,000 searches, right? That should be good enough for your web source. But Tally is a really good one that gives you good information, checks and sources, and research various sources to gather information for your query. So this would be a good one you can use for your project.
Thanks. And for the Google Colab, when we interrupt a runtime for a command, the code cell transfers to the text cell. So have you encountered like this or?
So I'm sorry, when you interrupt a Google Colab, you're asking what happens when that happens, or?
What happening to me is it's transferring the code into the text cell. The coding is transferred to a text format.
Oh, are you talking about when you clone the GitHub? And
No. That is fine. But when you run a code cell in the Colab.
maybe you want to share your screen, maybe you can give me an example. Maybe do you have that example up already, or?
No, not right now.
Yeah.
Louis. Yesterday when I was trying, let me see if I find the same code cell. It was taking a long time to run. It was just like a couple of lines in that code cell. So I just interrupted the runtime.
Yes.
And after that, it just transferred to the text, those 2 lines. Like if I have ABC, ABC, ABC plus ABC plus ABC in the code cell, which is a run this thing.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying now. So what happens is you're in the free version of Google Colab, sometimes it has limitations of how many users can use it. Sometimes it has and maybe if it's a really busy time that everyone's using it, and you run a cell, it could take a long time to load, because they don't have a lot of resources to hand out. But when you interrupt a cell, that means that everything that you've loaded in, all those imports, all the documents, everything you have, the files, gets erased as well. So you would have to go and run everything from the top to the bottom again. And sometimes when you try to run the next cell, you probably get an error. You won't get like the proper text. It messes things up. So you have to rerun sort of everything over again when you stop and interrupt your runtime. I believe that's what you're asking about.
Okay, that is good to know, but no, that is not my question.
Maybe you have time, so maybe you can try to see if you can replicate it and then.
Yes.
Hey, Luis, like last week, were there any like as in the Jupyter notebooks that were uploaded to the Git repo? I don't see any changes actually. No, right? It's just a presentation.
The GitLab, it should be there. Let me just pull it up right now.
I just didn't git pull. I don't see any changes actually. The last one I see is a basic chatbot.
Okay, so this one, it should be under RAG and vector search similarities. So I'll share my screen quickly. So if I go to the GitHub and I just refresh the page, I see there. It's uploaded 4 days ago. And you click this folder, RAG and vector similarity. And I give you a couple examples of the basic RAG with certain documents and how to do the multimodal RAG as well. I also gave some extra how to do some retrievals examples here. These ones I didn't share that much that in advance because these ones these are very simple semantic search ones. These ones do require an OpenAI API for those who want some of them, some don't. Some of them will require maybe a Pinecone, because again, I talked about using different ways. Pinecone is a free API. You can sign up, get the Pinecone API from there, see how you can load things. So I uploaded a couple of lessons, different lessons, how to use RAGs, retrievals. I didn't have a chance to talk about it in class today, simply because that, but I gave a lot more different examples of how to use RAG, vector search, even how to do it on. You don't have to do facial, like you don't have to do even just text. You can do it on faces. And this is how multimodal works. You do a plot of the images, embed them, calculate the similarity scores, match scoring, and everything like that. So some really cool different ways in there, but they're in there that I added there. So I made one with Pinecone and with Chroma. So you can look for it called RAG and vector similarity.
Yeah, I got it now. Actually, I think there was some issue with my local.
You have to register, do some git pulls, do some pull all that, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's what I did actually. But then, like there was some, it was aborting for some reason. Maybe I did some changes locally. I just got it working now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So I think this is going to be this Saturday is going to be one of the last classes where we get into some deeper theory. So half the class will be going through how to do AI strategy for our department, for our company, how to do it, how to build a business case for yourself in terms of doing this. We'll get into the details of this, and then the last hour of class, we're going to be breaking into groups and really digging deeper into the different groups for the presentations, because I think the following week there's no classes, there's no office hour because of Thanksgiving, and then the following Saturday, from the following Wednesday, there is an office hour. Then the Saturday it's the class that sort of present the different projects that people have been working on.
Luis, you were talking about some advanced course. You have that one too?
Yes, they're all in the GitHub.
Oh, like in the sense you will also talk like this or take sessions, or it was just
No, this is so the ones that are most important, the most advanced ones are the ones I talked about in class. The other ones is for your understanding how to do how to run a vector store, like how to do embeddings, like again, smaller examples of it that of how it's used. So again, those are smaller tasks for people who really want to get deeper into understanding a little bit more of what vector searches are and how does embeddings look like. Just a little bit more extra work for those who are more curious. So again, the most important parts of building a RAG and multimodal retrieval already did. I talked through those most important ones in class.
I meant to say, like, do you have any other advanced course like this? We had this 7-week one, right? Do you have anything else as well?
Yeah, so I did this. I'm doing this one for as I got invited to the VSF club to do this basic one, and I feel like there's a way to do more. If there's people who are interested in doing an advanced, I can definitely develop an advanced course. And develop there. So I just need to know who's interested.
Okay,
definitely interested.
No,
Yeah.
Luis, what is that advanced course? I mean, you need to give a prerequisite of what need to be learned before we come to advanced. I mean, really, we really enjoyed the course, but the thing is, some of us have completed the program, some of us could not complete yet. So, what if you are doing advanced prerequisites, and what is the like summary of what will run when we walk out of the training? If we practice whatever is being instructed, what will be that will be walking out learning?
Okay, that's a very good question. So my objective again of this basics class was to get you understanding how do LLMs work. What are ways that people are using LLMs rather than just asking questions, right? What are agents? How to use an agent? How to build a RAG? What is RAG? And to understand pretty much how does AI work? Like where's the Gen AI space and work in comparison to data science, ML? How do you put something into production? So last week we were going through the different phases and putting those in, right? But we never had a chance, like, so it's very, we touched on the very important parts of how to do the very basics of a RAG, but we didn't really get deeper into other parts of the model. Example for like going to an advanced course is that you have to know how the transformers work, because in advanced course we probably go through fine tuning. How do you fine tune a model? What are the different ways of fine tuning of models, and get deeper into LoRa's, QLoRa's, optimization techniques, adapter techniques of how to actually train a specific model to do deeper information that way, right? So that would probably be like one or two day of courses, just understanding how to fine tune. Another one would be going back into the RAGs, and instead of just doing a basic RAG, remember we talked about doing advanced RAGs and multimodal RAGs, and how do we do advanced ways of doing it, right? So we looked at how just doing simple embeddings and putting it and doing a RAG, but there's a lot more we can do, and in the sense that there's different techniques. How do you implement those techniques? How do we put them into a front-facing app for those who want to do this in sort of a UI, whether it be Flask or Streamlit? How do you have something more that you can build out a front-facing app on top of your RAG or on top of your agent? Those type of things would be going on the advanced side, right? So just building on top of the basics and then going to the top. Just a little bit more of getting to more of an intermediate view that way.
So for someone who is interested in application programming, right? Say I'm not a machine learning engineer, so some of it like I don't understand like statistical little bit I understand, but there are more intricacies when you go into machine learning, right? So there are a lot internal depth of mathematics and other things you need to learn, which I'm not good at. So even if I join the course I don't think within like 3 weeks I will be able to excel that, right? So my interest is, I'm just trying to understand if that helps me, my interest I'm trying to get. So out of it is, how do I use, I mean, whatever you gave basics is good to understand under the hood what is happening. But my interest use case is, how do I apply these different use cases in business, right? So when to use LLM and what kind of LLM need to be used, or how to create a prompting for my business use cases or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
are we going to have some courses where how can I, as an application engineer, not a machine learning engineer or data science engineer, how to use the AI or LLM or reinforcement learning or anything to my use to build new apps?
That's a very good question. So if again, like I just need to know how many people are interested in what's the main topics, and again, just like how I did the basic one of understanding what are people's priorities and in terms of what they're looking for to get out of the course. That's why I sort of built the basic course out of that. I built the basic course, something based off what people want the most, and then from there able to go down. For example, this Saturday's class, I'll be talking about how to do pretty much how does AI integrate into a company, to a department, what's really the best case scenarios of using it. But in terms of sitting down and saying, okay, here's for how would I use this for SRE, right? An example. What are some POCs and JRCs that could top drive value or top values, right? Or things like that. That could be an interactive lesson in there, and then we can do it from there, right? But again, I think you would benefit more of having more of a one-on-one conversations and trying to build out how you could develop those POCs for yourself and determine which one drives the most highest values and how you could do it yourself, right? I think that would give you most value than attending more for those who want to get more deeper into the coding, getting deeper into the development and things like that. I think that would be the most benefit for you, though. I think you're looking more of this as a in a business standpoint rather than
Yes,
a
yes, yes.
technical.
Yeah, because I'm not a machine learning. I mean, even if I attended the course, I don't think I'll be good at, because people who has done PhDs and for years have got into that, and I don't think I will go and excel there. So
Yeah.
under the hood, learning from a 60 feet angle, it makes sense. Like when people talk what is in reinforcement learning, but I can't do that because I'm not mastering it. So my interest is how to use this for business use cases.
And I think that could maybe even a separate course, right?
Yeah,
AI.
that's the reason I'm saying.
business.
That's the reason I'm saying. If you can go, I mean, create a plan. We can all see who all are interested, and then get the pulse, and then see which program works better. But what I'm saying is, like, example, right? Git Copilot, right? How does Git Copilot under the hood works? Like, example, I'm saying that is one example, or any other business use case, right? So there are several business cases where AI being used. So then also, Luis, I like your idea of, you mentioned initially about ML, right? So initial introduction, right? Though 2 days, I agree with him. But if for 2 days, maybe we just get an idea what it is. And also you mentioned another thing is how to make this RAG complete application itself, not just basic RAG like front end and all that stuff. I think that will help too, actually. So I am interested in that kind of course where even like machine learning introduction, whatever you give, we should be able to talk and understand if someone says something. That gives that advantage. And then next thing is making full-fledged RAG applications. That will also help. So kind of I'm looking forward for that. And also from my side, even if you do third course, I'm interested in that as well. So even like whatever Sudhir was asking, even if you do just application, I'm interested as well. So maybe more people are interested. And also one more thing, Luis, a lot of people couldn't get to this basic course. There was a lot of overflow. You might have heard as well. So a lot of people were waitlisted actually.
So there was a lot of, sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Lot of people were let go, in the sense that people were waitlisted for this class.
Yes, there was a wait list. So I will be doing a second also basic like introduction to Gen AI as well, right? So I think there are more fans. Bottom line, there are more fans of you. That's what it is. Yes. And again, like this was just a trial run to see how people are interested, what could be developed. And again, I'm grateful for you guys to be engaged and really understand more, because again, you learning this is only going to develop yourself in your companies. And again, no one's learning Gen AI just because that's something fun to do, right? They're learning that those who don't know, those who aren't using the tool will be left behind by those who are using the tool, right? And an example of this would be people who are, you could be, let's say you're a coder and you're a great coder and you're a great coder, but there's someone who's someone who's not as good as coding goes in and trains an LLM or uses an LLM, and they can use that to get to your level way faster than if they were to do it by themselves, right? So LLMs are now like pretty much leveling the playing field for most individuals in terms of knowledge, in terms of other things going on. And the thing is, LLMs are just going to get smarter. If we're having these super smart models now, in 6 months from now, these models that we're practicing now may look dumb to a model that OpenAI in June of 2025 may drop and just blow everyone's minds of like, it's super intelligent, barely makes mistakes, it reflects, does everything on itself, right? So if you're understanding the basics now, understanding how it works, so when it gets to that level, like you're already prepared what to do, how to pivot, how that's going to affect your workflow. And if I come at this as a business perspective, there's two ways, like, very from the top level of CEO to VPs. How does a Gen AI, well, I'll be talking about this on Saturday, is this a necessity in business now or not? And if, let's say, you're head of a department, how can you enable Gen AI in your departments where it makes sense and really provide you the most value rather than just saying, oh, I'm just doing Gen AI just for fun, right? Let's say you have that as a goal. How can you really provide an ROI to the business showing that you're actually working with this as well, right? So those are things we'll be talking about on Saturday. And I know I'm really interested to see what people are talking about in terms of business cases. This will be more of a conversation avenue on Saturday as well to really understand how can you really understand that business. So if there's really a lot of interest of when would you use Amazon, or when would you use this, or how would you deploy something from Azure to my Flow, or what's really like I want to suggest a platform that my company can use to really for my department to use it in order to try different playgrounds and things like that. That would be covered in the AI for business class, like because again, you have to sort of do the analysis of the IT cost, risks, legal, and review of sort of all that encompassing of how that plays into your department as well, right? And how do you develop that business case if you need to develop that business case for that. Okay, I think it's a long Wednesday for everyone.
Yeah, to Sudhir's point, I mean, I did not get a chance to do, I mean, so far, try everything out. And if there is a second session, I'm re-enrolling before getting onto the advanced course.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So what would you say for yourself? I'm just curious, what would help you to be more successful in this course? Would you want more sessions that you would have time to work on it during class? Would you want something like that?
No, I don't think it's the schedule or anything, Louis. Nothing on your side. It's more on my side, making the time to spend. I mean, yeah, put time to this towards this.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. And
Yeah.
maybe it's not that. Maybe there has to be a high level way of saying, okay, now you know how it works. Maybe you don't have to use like the coding in Python, things like that. Again, this is where I try to show AI Studio.
Right.
And using AI Studio, you can achieve the same results. And then now you know how it works. You can have maybe someone on your team, someone who's more technical, come and help you build out the things. And now you know what's possible, right? And use that information to help you succeed rather than focusing on being the technical SME yourself of doing that.
God, yeah, no, I that makes sense. I mean, yeah. So the other going back to your question, I mean, or comment or question about what could be done. I think the second or third sessions, maybe that could have been like spread out into one more session, if you will, instead of two, maybe make it three.
Yeah.
That would allow. I mean, folks who are not very familiar in this space to follow you and try it out themselves. But yeah, that's just me. I don't know if others others did not feel that way.
I felt the last one, Luis, was very fast.
There's
Just
a lot of
too much,
information.
right. Too much to digest, right? The first two ones were the first three was pretty easy. I wouldn't say easy, simple, rather, right? But then the fourth one, I have been doing offline study or like running it through read through your slides line by line. If I don't understand, I'll just go and search up something somewhere, like all of that stuff, right? Especially, I haven't done it, honestly, I haven't done it for this week, the last week's one, because we are in a pre-planning session right now at the company, so I absolutely don't have time, right? So I'm waiting for, like probably next week is anyway the downtime for us, like considering we don't have the, the session, right? Probably we'll catch up then. But I mean, yeah, I agree with Vish, right? Like, I mean, probably it could have been spread out a little bit, not much, right? Yeah, 2 sessions could have been probably put into 3 kind of a thing, right? And also the enthusiastic crowd, correct? And like too many questions, and then probably you're not getting to what you want to finish in that week, right? So I felt a little bit of a rush during the end, especially, right? Um, but you have been generous, like considering that you stay 10 minutes or 15 minutes late, and then also, like you take the, like these, the question Q&A kind of a thing, right? But yeah, like neither of them can be avoided, right? You can't stop an enthusiastic crowd from asking questions as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to balance it. So
Right.
I think what I'm hearing is maybe in the future classes could be in the style of a class of lecture, and then the next class would be a class of workshop.
Yeah, that will be super helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good model. I
Right.
think, I mean, at least for the next round, if people like myself are trying joining again, that may not that will be easy. But for at least for the new ones who will be joining, they will certainly find that useful.
Yes.
The duration may go, couple more classes longer. That one, the schedule wise, we'll have to look into that. But that will be more digestible for attendees, I would say.
Yes.
One
And
other, sorry, go ahead, Luis. Finish it.
so I think what happened was they were trying to book me for more time, and I just wanted to really say, like, again, it really depends on the crowd, and really depends on who are we teaching and things like that. So
No, this is fine, right? Yeah, like I said, you are doing this for the first time and you did not know about the crowd and all that. Absolutely fine. It's just a learning process. It's iterative. No worries at all.
Yes, no, awesome. No, I appreciate the feedback. This is really great for me to think about and structure it with you guys for sure, right? So I'm used to having like content and workshops like built into the websites themselves, and then the students go into it, work with it, and then be able to get themselves graded. And
Yeah.
then so that's where I'm it's a little harder just to
I know. Yeah, we are kind of most of us are working professionals, so everybody is juggling things. So it's a little bit tricky. And then time of the year when before the holidays, everybody wants to get stuff done at work, and that limits the amount of the number of cycles we can spend on this.
Hey, Luis, I have a couple of suggestions. Like one is, like the giving the slides early. I'm not sure if you really want to do it or not, but it really helps actually for people who want to really get ahead. Because some people understand a faster conversation, right? Some people do not, right? I would say I fall in between because I need an quiet space for me to read and understand kind of thing, right? Also, like the messages keep, like distracting you in a way, like that's my problem. I'm not saying this is a class problem, right? It's my problem, right? So giving the slides ahead of time will definitely help, right? That's one thing. And second thing is the naming convention, right? I'm more of an terminal guy, like I hate, sorry to say this, but then I don't like seeing the spaces in between. Like, then you'll have to do CDs, like LLM space star collab and all of that stuff, right? Using an like an naming convention without the spaces and those things will definitely help actually, because I am reformatting everything that you're giving me, like because I like to do more on terminal, and like it gets a little difficult, like when you have to see those things, right? Like yeah.
That makes sense. So the only reason why, guys, like I haven't been able to predict the slides is because literally I started I was asked to teach the class maybe a week and a half before the class started.
Okay.
So I haven't I didn't have like maybe months to prepare
Sure.
or a couple of weeks to prepare and to build the slides out. So it's only when I like you guys, when I teach, I work full time, So when I have spare time, I build the slides during the week and then get ready for the Saturday.
see.
But now that we have the slides already built out for the next class, I can go in there, edit them, exactly what you said, pull them out and have everyone ready for the slides, do some
Right.
FAQs. Just currently
Yeah.
I was sort of like just pulled in to
Right,
to
right, right,
just for the last minute, but
Yeah.
hopefully that makes sense.
right.
I think Satya is ready for self-study rather than a course.
No,
Yes.
not really. You get a jump start.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
No,
sure.
no,
It's
no.
like-
I agree with Satya. I also add to Satya because these are new concepts. First of all, ask questions also. I need to get into my mind what exactly is right. I cannot
Right.
rush in a question. So if I know the concept, what they're explaining upfront, I can prepare my questions. When the slide is done, okay, I can ask the doubts I have. Now I need to wait for a week to understand when to ask questions.
Yeah, and that's why this
The
course.
context is lost. The
I mean,
context is lost.
that is the context of this Wednesday session. But I see your point. I see your point.
If you get time to work on Sunday and then next 3 days, sure. Right? Like
I mean, if you are not able to do it now, it will be the same issue for Saturday also, right?
no, you can't jet. Like the thing is, like you don't know people's schedules, right? Like
Yeah.
you can always work.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just,
Given
yeah.
the material, whether if you
Right,
don't prepare it, it's your problem, right?
Right.
We can't blame anyone for that, correct?
Yeah.
Not
Fair
having a
enough, fair enough.
material and then blaming it on schedule is completely ridiculous, correct?
Yeah.
So like I understand and it's totally reasonable. So that's why I try to make it as very basic as I can, and this is why we record it. So if you have any questions, I know your guys are all busy. It's pretty much teaching like a continuous, like pretty much in a continuous adult learning that where people don't have that time to focus and only study. Like your families, you have full-time jobs, you have extracurricular activities running around, right? So what is something that can be talked about, under concepts that you can learn that when people say, "Hey, I'm going to build a RAG," you know exactly what a RAG is now, or hey, I know I need an agent. It's another way of understanding terminology being sent out, and understanding what it is, right? So I put the coding piece in because there's people who like that technical piece, but I think for this part is, I think maybe for this group, I'm hearing that an AI for business class would make more sense because then you get deeper into the concepts, understand it, break it down of what it what it means if you were to do this, and understand it more that way. If I'm hearing that right, so it seems like this AI for business class seems to be more of like a bigger topic, and it could be for other individuals who maybe up for everyone, right? Maybe you only get 20 people to join up, right? But this is again, but I think this is what most people would appreciate and get it and get more out of it, other than those who actually want to sit down and learn how to code, right? So there should be two tracks: those who want to understand the concepts and get the most out of AI in terms of business case and how to use it and go from where, and those who actually want to code and learn how to build out these things themselves.
Actually,
So,
I don't know.
Luis, I have seen online courses like Texas A&M and Berkeley courses. There is two courses that usually present. One is for business leaders, which is a non coding program. But what they teach, from the syllabus, what I see is they teach what AI can do, like what introduction classes you did, and then how to you apply in business use cases, right? Like where all it can help. Like there is a bunch of emails, right? I get bunch of emails. I don't have time to read through, right? I want to know what is the summary of it. Like millions of emails you got. So something like that. Example, I'm saying they talk about multiple use cases. That's the business leaders program. And the second one is engineering program, where they have a hands-on, but they do the similar thing, but with a working example.
Yes, we can, and that's something that we'll just have to talk to again, the VSF group of how they want to think about these different tracks and develop them. And it's really great. Thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback. It's really great to hear it, and it's really good. It's good to hear that at least the materials and everything is going good. And of course, there is a necessity, and again, from your side of how do you make an impact with this knowledge now? Let's say now you have a knowledge of this. There could be an advanced group of who wants to know how to do better advance in coding, but now how do you get advanced in that business side, right? And that could be two tracks that way. So thank you so much for that feedback.
The summary is basically what I understand is these 3 programs. One is basic for catering for everyone. Second is for business leaders, where you want to talk about business. And the third one is for engineering people, like who are hands-on coding and they love to implement things.
Yes, exactly. I think that could be, and that's something I have to talk to. I think Srinivas is sort of traveling right now, right? So when he gets back, we'll have this discussion and how he wants to proceed from there.
Hey, one thing, Louis, actually, interestingly, you know, like I was looking at some of the, you know, like what do you call the videos on, you know, like I was more interested in the, I'm looking at one certain problem, I think, which I briefly mentioned to you last time, log anomaly detector, right? So the thing is, like, the project is already underway, and like we were looking, one of the guys was using the VV8 or vector store with the vector embeddings, right? So you know, like, so I got into that particular track, you know, trying to understand those things, you know, like pretty good learnings actually, and like trying to understand, you know, like the various vectorizer models, you know, like some that can generate the basic vectors, some that can generate the vector embeddings and all of that stuff, right? Sure, like you may have already covered, sorry, you did already cover some of those things, right? But actually, like probably like I'll reach out to you, you know, like maybe I'll ping you offline, and like I just need to, you know, pick your brain on some of the things actually. Yeah, specifically, you know, like is it really, you know, like it's not the question of worth, is it the right way of doing things, kind of a thing, right? We have huge files, you know. Is it okay if I can talk about this now, or?
Yeah, this one question. I know Shyla's working on something on the back end. I just want to address her concern, and then
Sure.
we can come to that, if that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Shyla, do you mind just showing me the screen again? Do you have it open? Were you able to get it open?
Yes, yes, yes. 1 second.
Okay. Okay. So all right. So I don't see a play button beside it, right?
Not this, not this. 1 second.
Yeah.
So here you see this. This was a code cell which I ran, but I interrupted while it was running.
So I'll turn. All I can see right now is the React articles that you have up. I don't see the Google Colab if you have that, if you're trying to show that.
Oh, sorry.
No worries, no worries.
Okay. You see it now?
Yes. Okay, so the issue is here, it's running as a text box, not as a code. So
No,
I don't
but-
know.
So
Yeah,
this happened after I interrupted the runtime.
the runtime. So yeah, it must be a Google Colab glitch. Because right now in like I'm looking at the GitLab folder, it shows it as a code, not a text. So this is definitely when you interrupt it when it's running.
Yeah, that's my question. So when I opened it, it was a code. So I was running that code cell and it was taking a long time. So I interrupted and this is the output of that.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of Google Colab's. Unfortunately, it's a free, right? It's free, so you can't really you can't really play with it. But unfortunately, when you stop sometimes or interrupt a external code, it will glitch sometimes and not let it continue to be a code. It will convert it to a text. So only way to fix this is to cut that comment out, make a new cell underneath and paste it as a code and then run it that way. That's only workarounds you can do when that happens.
Okay. So, okay, I have to do the copy paste again. Okay.
Or just
Then
underneath.
alternate to pivot or, go back to the.
Yeah, and there's other interfaces that are easier that can just right click and just like text the code and just flip it back. But this is Google Code, it's free, so it's not as it doesn't have that options here to convert back to code. But you would simply just copy and paste, and then and then you just press a plus button underneath the 5. If you hover underneath the 5,
Yeah.
keep a code, and then you just copy and paste it there, and then you'd be able to get
So
that.
yeah, here I know the code what it is, but okay. But in the real time, I think it's hard to.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's one of the pitfalls of using like the free version, but it still lets you run for free. So
That's true.
yeah.
I like it, and I like it the way it's very simple to the English.
Yeah, and again, like I really wanted people to have something they can really practice with, because your computer may not have all the latest softwares, might not have the latest packages, you may not have used VS Code before. So Google Colab is a really great beginning place to learn for sure.
So one quick question, can I ask another question?
Yep.
So I was trying to see just a chatbot that can assist that can act as a college counselor thing. So I try to use your code. It's just copy paste the content and all. But so I was trying to see if I can use that US news site as a React kind of thing. So the one that you showed today, can I use that somewhere here? I can use.
Yeah, so the only difference here is this is just like a simple chatbot based off the prompting you have. So then you would have to look at the React agent code that I've given out before, and you would have to say from Tavily import this, and you would have to create a class of Tavily, right? Create that Tavily when to use Tavily, and you use Tavily when you want to extract information about the news. You write that as a class, right? Once you have that as a class, you can then go back to this here and then put that class in there, make sure you have that from Tavily, import that, and then build your agent to say, if it's about this, if it's talking about college majors, lean on your prompt. But if you want to talk about news places, then use the class of Tavily search to extract information back in. So what we can do is, if you're working on this Saturday, if you're stuck, I'll be jumping through different meetings. We'll be having a 1 hour class, but then it'll be other hour of people working on their own projects, and I'll be able to jump in, help you with some coding, and try to give you something real quick to use as well if you're stuck.
Awesome, thank you. And one more question.
Yep.
So all these classes you've been talking about, all this how to use LLMs and all, but till now I don't see how do you test the models, and where do the testing cycle fits in this developing the model. So do you have any plans talking on it, or any?
Yeah, I talked about it last class in the PowerPoint of how to do model evaluations, and I gave in a couple of names to look into while doing it. Unfortunately, due to time, I didn't have time to go into how to do one. But the most familiar one that I was trying to show the individuals was about RAGAS. So let me pull up that slide again. So I'll share my screen. So I think it was slide 8, and you can go back to there, was more about evaluations. How can you evaluate the model? There's different ways you can evaluate it. that we talked about before. And one of them is Ragas, and I think I showed you guys maybe a page of how Ragas works and how to call it. So if we go to just even as simple as Google and you just type in Ragas evaluator, it shows you quick examples of loading in a data set. Use Ragas. This is how you simply just load it in. You create an evaluation set. There's metrics that the context, faithfulness, correctness, semantic similarity search, and then you evaluate it. So you can use different evaluations. You can use OpenAI, Bedrock, and then you can do other ones. So you would have, for example, for Gemini Pro, you would have to use this others. Wrap your LLM predict. Remember that LLM predict that we have? You would put that here in your instance. And then you would run the evaluation that way. So when you run it, you can have something that will show you the user input, the retrieve context, the reference, and the different scores of how to evaluate your RAG model. Unfortunately, I think I showed this in class, this type of response in terms of high level, but due to time and in terms of the short 5-6 weeks, we don't have time to we didn't have time to go through the different ways how to do evaluations. And I was going to say that more for the advanced class, which evaluations you can use, what's a simple way how to do implementations, and really, and how to do it rather than just doing a manual check, right? Rather than just doing it manually and verifying it yourself, it's right. How can you use something more automated and have something called your ground truth or your golden data set? And your golden data set is something that I talked about in class, is something that's written by you or by humans that you know is 100% right. Once you have that, you know what the response should be on your golden data set, you would then run your LLM's response against it and see how the golden data set's response is versus the LLM's response. And that's what Ragas does, is it goes and evaluates your golden data set for that way.
Okay.
So this is definitely a good way to do this.
So for even for evaluation, is this the way, or is there more ways to evaluate the model levels?
So there's more ways to evaluate the model. There's a bunch of metrics you can work on. So if I go back to the PowerPoint, I put some here. There's coherence, relevance, faithfulness. I talked a little bit more about that also in class. So yeah, there's different ways to look at and even the first class I talked about, if you're looking at different languages, blue and rouge, what is blue, what is rouge, when would you look to compare one versus the other, if you're doing looking at languages, or really if you're looking at ensuring that it's accurate, how can you ensure that something's accurate? You would have to use context recall, right, to make sure it's the right context, if it's factually correct, if it's faithful to the document itself. There are different metrics you can use to do this, and this is all open source as well, right? So this is something great you can always run in. I'll put this in the chat if you're more curious about it, but unfortunately I didn't have time in this course to go over how to actually do automated evaluations, because that's pretty much how it works.
Thanks.
Yeah.
One question, quick question actually. So how does when the thing is, like, you're evaluating the output of an model, right, against the like the ground truth and relevancy and precision recall, all of that stuff, right? That means that in this particular case, you are essentially doing an evaluation of the LLM itself for your use case, correct? When you have like the what do you call it, like your own model, like, say for example, an LLM has been developed in-house for whatever the reason, right? How do you do with those things actually? Because in like Ragas is something that it should have an access to the LLM, right, to be able to do that.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So just to rephrase, so how do you evaluate your own built LLMs versus just doing RAGs, right?
Right.
So in order to evaluate your own RAG, so this is going something into fine tuning, is what are the metrics in fine tuning to determine how well a model is doing? And this is where you go back to ML. So and you're doing your training of your model, you need to have your train, test, and validation split as well when you're training a model. And you're also having your log loss, which is another metric you would use to determine how well your models learned the material. You have the number of epochs. Epochs is the number of ways of being able to determine how well the training is doing. The model stops learning at certain points. There are other metrics that when you're training your own model, and it's very similar as fine tuning, you would use these different metrics to determine how well your model has. And if your model is doing really bad, you'll see a huge divergence of when it stopped learning really early on, and it's really what's called overfitting your data, and it's not learning anything else other than that. So there's metrics you have to watch out for when you're fine tuning or training your own data set, while doing that as well. So yeah, that's something more for the advanced course, but good question.
Luis, I have one question.
So, sorry, just one sec. Luis, can I ping you offline? Is it okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll ping you one-on-one. Thanks.
No worries.
Yeah, Luis, I have a question. Okay, we discussed about the RAGs and also different vector databases, and like we have FIRE, Pinecone, Chroma, and a lot of databases. My question is, in what circumstances we'll use the which database? And also, if I'm using, suppose if I'm going for any Pinecone or FIRE, and what is the searching mechanism, like whether I can use the semantic search or cosine, or what is that's what I want to look for that one.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something I thought of you when I built this slide.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen, but and yeah, please go ahead.
So it shows the different databases that we have on this slide.
Okay.
What the type is, if they're open source, paid commercials, deployed on, if you need something that's deployed on cloud that's able to access through APIs. If you want something that's both deployed in your environment, which one's better? If, example, your company is saying, no, I want all the information never to leave our storage space, then you have to figure out to have a local vector store in your own area, right? So you need something, or someone's like, we don't mind, we want to be able to do the best techniques. That's when you can go and I think there's another slide here I have that talks about which of these are able to do different types of retrievals. Yeah, so these are the different types of retrievals, and these are the types of databases that can be relied on. And I put the name tool here, right? So you can do hybrid retrievals on these databases. You can do semantic search on these type of databases. You can do dense vector retrieval on these type of databases here. So it's like an art. You have to understand where you're going to be storing your data. What are different if you already have a database set, let's say you're using Pinecone, if I'm using Pinecone, which of these retrievals can I work on? Pinecone is known to be as a relationship non-SQL database. So BM25 can be done. So that's like hybrid. That's like doing hybrid search, doing BM25. So these are advanced steps on top of just a vector similarity search that you can add on to your database. So I'd suggest just going back to the PowerPoint slides, really look at what vector store database you guys are using, and then trying to understand what are advanced retrieval methods you can use for your RAG.
Okay, and also when I'm looking for which of the retrieval method, okay, depending upon my use case, whether it is like when I hit the any query, if I want to find out some information from the RAG, I need to find out which retrieval gives the best results, maybe using the RAGAs or all other things. Is that correct?
Yeah, so exactly what we talked about before, I think we talked about last week as well, is that let's say you tried BM25. How would you know this is better than hybrid retrieval, right?
Yes.
So you would have to use RAG open source ones. There's different ones as well. Like I said before, there's LLM as a judge. You can use an LLM to judge your responses as well. versus your golden versus retrieval. But there's due to time, we'll talk about that. But you then use this, see how well it scores BM25. Then you go back, change your retrieval to the hybrid retrieval, and then run your evaluation set again and see if you get a better accuracy score with that new retrieval method. And that's how you would go and be able to evaluate how well your RAG is doing that way.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I can take one more question. I think there's one more question that was asked. Okay, I think Satni had the question, but I think he's left. Okay, awesome. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys Saturday. Oh, is there one more question or?
No, I was about to thank you. That's it.
Yeah, let's
you.
do advanced class also. Yeah.
So Shravanti, I think there was some takeaways that we can write in the group. So I think there is the AI for business class, advanced craft, and going back to doing another introduction for the people to get back into it. So we can take that back as takeaways.
Yeah, sure, Luis.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone. I'll see you guys Saturday.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you.